This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Justin, welcome to Tech Talk.
Hey, Frank, it's great to be here.
A lot of buzz going on about Foxtail and Brave New World. Let's get into a little bit of that later, but let's touch upon something that seemingly came from out of nowhere but is now really ubiquitous in this whole concept of gamification and the idea that in some circles it's being considered basically the new marketing strategy, new branding type environment, not only from a gaming environment, but basically how the marketplace will be driven as far as potentially next couple of years. Go into a little bit. I know your background is pretty strong. Obviously, you're a lead developer with Apple and a lot of other background that kind of not only gives you the technical insight in terms of development, but the vision, the eye to do something like Foxtail Games. Maybe go into a little bit about where you see the concept of or the marketing strategy, if you will, of this community relationship and loyalty that comes out of the gamification environment.
Well, I really think people are picking up nowadays that everybody wants to have fun. You know, in the past, gaming was sort of, I want to say, looked down upon a little bit. It's, the nerdy thing. People don't want to be associated with gaming, but everybody likes to have fun. And if you can learn while having fun, if you can conduct business while having fun, then why wouldn't you? So I think gamification is just really becoming the way of the future in that everybody wants to have fun while they're doing something. And I think that's really where we're headed with it.
Yeah, what's interesting, I've had, one of the things, again, we do here is we go horizontally across all of the disciplines. So maybe today it's gaming, but tomorrow it might be fintech, or the next day it might be health IT. And after a while, you start to see a pattern, and you certainly get from especially a technology consideration. It's sort of the same thing, only different. I mean, obviously it's IoT and it's cloud and it's high speed, and now we're talking about this insane hybriding of data and being able to predict artificial intelligence. All of that stuff is everywhere, if you will, in some variation or another. But where I'm very excited and kind of curious about, I think some of our listeners as well, is the point that you were just making, and that's that the environment, the concept of that gamification, from an academic standpoint, they actually call it informal learning versus formal learning. So formal learning, you may get a degree, but in informal learning, you're doing it without even realizing it. You're learning while you're doing. Like robotics, for example, is a hot topic right now, and a lot of young people are getting involved in building robotics. And obviously, the end play is to have a robot, but the real value of that is STEM and science and technology. And I think that same thing holds play for what you were saying, Justin. I think that's a great insight. If you can enjoy yourself while you're learning something, hey, well, why not? So
right.
Okay, well, let's go into a little bit about Foxtail, because obviously, it's both a creative vision as well as it actually is a business and a highly competitive field. But for our listening audience who probably have heard about it, but maybe you'd like a little bit more insight, what's Foxtail Games all about?
Right. So we're an indie gaming company, and right now we're working on our first game. It's called Brave New World, and it's the first ever game that lets you build your video game world using physical toys. If you've ever played Super Mario, picture building a Mario level using toy sets. And then you look at the toy level you've built through the camera on our mobile app, and you can play through the level you've just built in augmented reality. So basically, we're the first gaming company that lets you build a video game with physical toys.
Wow. Well, and I think augmented reality, I mean, obviously, it's sort of like what we were saying before. You can't take any of this as pure entertainment anymore, because all of it has got its roots maybe in the actual entertainment of what you're describing. But, again, like we were saying just a couple seconds ago, what's that going to morph into in a couple of years? What it's certainly going to be part of as far as 10 years from now. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, again, it's kind of merging, augmented reality. It's both real reality and virtual reality, and you actually are now almost producing your own game. I mean, it's not
right.
only selecting an avatar or creating an image for that avatar. It's actually physically having an avatar in your hand that you can put into the game yourself. That's is that it? I mean, that's pretty incredible as far as what is the technology involved in it, if you can share that.
Right. So I think you touched on something pretty important there. I think augmented reality was sort of on the peripheral along with virtual reality, and then Pokemon Go, sort of came out last year and it exploded. And now augmented reality and virtual reality are at the forefront here. Virtual reality is a little harder play because you've got to buy the headset and peripheral, but now augmented reality, everybody has a phone that you can play through it with. And our technology just leverages that. We just let you look through your mobile phone's camera, and then we, display our augmented images over the toy sets that we've made. So we're trying to make it accessible to everyone, because I think that's where we need to be going with it.
Well, and one of the things, again, having an opportunity to speak to a couple of founders and producers of some of the gaming that is already coming out of the city, as I was mentioning earlier, the level of it's almost I wouldn't say accidental excellence, but I think the effort to devise the quote-unquote virtualness of the relationship with the game, creating the community, having the community talk to itself in a way, and all those kind of things, and then interact into that thing, especially when you start getting multiplayer and you get live streaming. And I'm sure, have you gone looking forward to the actual, some of the situation now where they're actually creating physical contest in which the game is played, but it's actually streamed live to an online audience simultaneously?
Oh, 100%. That is our vision for the game. We really just, not only do we want people to be able to compete with the game, live stream it, and build a community around it virtually, we also want people, one of the big pulls of Brave New World is that it's a physical toy. So we really want people to be able to gather around the toy set in person, play it together in the same room. We want to hit local multiplayer as well as global competitive multiplayer.
Okay, how do you do that? Because you said you just started, so you're right at the, how did this all happen? I mean, is it a case, it's one thing to have a passion, talent, creativity to make something like this happen from a technical standpoint, I guess, for lack of a better description, but you're now describing something that's a pretty dynamic, quote-unquote, business to get into. So,
right.
Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get started doing that, and how are you approaching the actual running of the business?
Right. So we talk about this whole bringing people together and creating sort of a local environment of people playing the game, and we know that can work because we've seen it work with Brave New World. We actually started out of a hackathon. If you don't know what a hackathon is, it's the name is a little misleading. It doesn't really have anything to do with hacking. It's just an event put on by colleges where a bunch of programmers get together and compete to see who can build the coolest product in a weekend. And usually people will stay awake for the whole time. So we went to a hackathon in Florida, and over the course of the weekend, we built the prototype for Brave New World. And the response was huge, and people just came from around the entire event, gathered around our booth, and played the game together in this just tight-knit community right there. So we knew we had something, and we just started it from that.
And describe the toys. I mean, is it something that when you register and it comes with the actual relationship to the game, or is it things that you bring to the game yourself? How does the actual physical aspect in this augmented type reality, where does those physical toys come from?
That's actually a very common question. People want to know, can I build my level out of my water bottle, out of, my pencil, my books? And, we are a business, so we're trying to sell a physical toy set that pairs up with our mobile app. So you can't play it with anything but our toys. And our toys it's about 15 to 20 individual toy blocks that you can use to build almost an infinite combination of customizable levels.
Huh. Well, I'm thinking of it from a reverse standpoint, the way they used to do with epic movie introductions, when a premiere would happen back, quote unquote, in the day. Now obviously toy merchandising and product merchandising, it's almost it's not even separated. You automatically assume that it's going to happen.
Right.
But where I'm headed is that I would assume there's, quote unquote, yes, it is a business, but the other side of it is it's actually a great idea, because obviously you're merchandising the storyline, if you will, right from the get-go, and the idea of having these, let's say, I almost don't want to use toys, but the objects that we're talking about, that becomes an interesting opportunity, not only from the merchandising standpoint of the physical item itself, but obviously the they used to say long legs. The fact that will have a really good way of what is that you've got there? Oh, well, that's actually the avatar that I use to play the game Brave New World. I think that's masterful. I think, and I'm actually thinking probably your biggest competition may be the water bottle that you're talking about, but it also could very be a 3-degree printer before too long, and you'll actually be able to, I'm going to guess, send down some kind of a design component and let them go ahead and make their own toys for $6.99 or something, that they can do with a 3D printer. Well, lots of exciting. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, our prototype right now is made using a 3D printer, so that's definitely a logical step for it.
Well, I know that, I've seen in not to specifically mention, but some of the local gamers that have produced some of the pretty hot games, in some of the conversation, they've talked about part of their revenue generation is that you buy the instruments for the battle, and you know this better than I, but you get these swords or you get the armor and that kind of thing, and you actually pay for it with whatever the currency is in that quote-unquote particular world. And then there's even a case where over an extended period of time, as the game becomes more and more popular, actually some of the more quote-unquote superstar players actually do become celebrities, and they start getting followers. I mean, it's an interesting, it actually, as you point out, it isn't just a quote-unquote game anymore. It's a much more serious discovery process that can be developed into all kinds of things. It's really exciting for you guys. I mean, Foxtail, you're new and you're starting out, but I think you're already getting a lot of buzz, Justin, and I think it's just a case where a lot of our listeners, it's one of those times when remember the name, because I think you're going to hear it often over the next few weeks, next few months, but I think over the period of the next couple of years, I think you're going to continue to become a really, real strong player in an area of digital entertainment where Atlanta's just booming like crazy. Let's talk a little bit as we close up in terms of one, here's a great opportunity. Go ahead and pitch it. Where can we buy Brave New World? And then as we close, give us a little bit of an idea of what your future plans are.
So we actually haven't released Brave New World to the public yet. It'll be available for pre-order soon, and in the meantime, you can go to our website, which is www.foxtailgames.io, and then you can sign up to be notified when it's available for pre-order.
Gotcha. Well, Justin, hey, really exciting, lots of buzz. I'm really proud for you, excited for you guys, and look forward to what's going to happen in the future. But for sure, thank you for taking time out of what I know has got to be fun, but also a busy schedule to join us for a couple of minutes today on Tech Talk.
Of course. Thank you for having me on.